Hi, dear cricket fans, subscribers, and friends of Cricket Happenings. Welcome to another edition of Cricket Happenings today with your host Ram. Well, today what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover that spine-tingling match, the 2020 match between England and Australia, which really went down to the wire. And the hero was Chris Woakes, who actually hit 19 and with 1-4 and 1-6. And what was very important was in a very crucial part, he actually smacked a six of the fourth ball that he faced in international cricket by hitting Tate for a six, and that is something which really shows a lot of nerves in this boy Chris Woakes. Well, and Chris Woakes was also promoted in the batting order ahead of Swan, which would have raised a few eyebrows, but well, he came up trumps by hitting Tate for a six and then taking England to a 8th consecutive world record victory in the 2020 format. So what a proud moment for England there. And so Australia lost this match and there was no balls remaining. In fact, it was a victory by 1 wicket. You can just imagine how close the match would have been. I'll be recounting the tale that happened at the Adelaide Oval shortly. But now, the other thing that I would like to talk about is the current game which is going on between South Africa and India, which is playing the first one-day international, where South Africa are currently batting and they are 218 for 4 in the 37th over with the de Villiers just dismissed. But right now, let's speak about the Australia versus England game. And what a game it was. An absolute spine tingler here at the Adelaide Oval, where England and Australia clashed in the one-off 2020 match. And in fact, it's a two-match series, so England is leading the series 1-0. And well, it all started with David Warner and Shane Watson getting stuck into the English bowlers and hitting. Chris Woakes started, but he was taken for plenty by David Warner and Shane Watson. Ajmal Shahzad also went for plenty. In fact, there was not much of an impression created by the English bowlers, but David Warner and Shane Watson opening the innings took the start to an electric start by actually rattling 83 runs in 8.4 overs, with David Warner also smacking 5 boundaries in his score of 28 balls, and he was the first victim. So the pace bowling, even Woakes, Shahzad and Bressman couldn't make an impression, and finally Michael Yardy, the left arm spinner, came in and started making an impression by first picking up the wicket of David Warner. Was Scott Shahzad bowled Yardy for 30 of 28 balls with 5 fours, and then Watson and David Hussey were the crease, and then and it was a very what batting by Shane Watson. Shane Watson was the man of the match today. The way he played, even though it was a losing cause for Australia, but I thought Shane Watson played magnificently, and he hit Graham Swan for 3 consecutive sixes over mid-wicket. And in fact, he took 26 runs for the first over that was bowled by Graham Swan. So that was really scintillating batting by Shane Watson. Really hit Swan off the mark, and Swan was, in fact, Graham Swan was taken out of the attack after being rattled for 26 runs in 1 over. And David Hussey was also doing well by playing some very good strokes there. And finally, David Hussey fell when he, in fact, the first wicket to fall was actually not Warner. It was Shane Watson, who actually made a very quick fire 59 of just 31 deliveries, 6 fours and 3 sixes in that effort, and Shane Watson was bowled by Yardy. The left arm spinner Michael Yardy was also welcomed with 9 runs by Shane Watson, but finally Michael Yardy found the stumps of Shane Watson, hit the stumps of Shane Watson. Shane Watson was gone, bowled Yardy 59 of 31 deliveries, 6 fours and 3 sixes, and then David Hussey contributed 28 of 27 balls with 1 4 and 1 6. He was bowled by Tim Bressman for 28. And David Warner was the second wicket to go. So actually, and then Cameron White also couldn't contribute. The captain of the Australian team was out for 6 as Woakes picked up his first international wicket on his debut, as he had him caught by Peterson for 6. And finally, Aaron Finch, the debutant, made 15 runs of just 14 deliveries with 1 4. He was not out in the end. Stephen Smith was not out on 15 of 11 balls with 1 4. 157 for 4 Australia finished with at the end of 20 overs. And Chris Woakes on his debut, initially he was taken away for a lot of runs, but later on he came and he really bowled, I wouldn't say a very good line and length, but for his first match it was 4 overs no maiden 1 for 34. Ajmal Shahzad 4 overs no maiden none for 25. Tim Bressman 4 overs no maiden 1 for 28. Michael Yardy 4 overs no maiden 2 for 28 was the best today. Graham Swan was taken to the cleaners by Shane Watson, especially 4 overs no maiden none for 40. As far as England were concerned, it all started with Ian Bill and Stephen Davis opening innings. They couldn't get to a good start. In fact, Stephen Davis was the first to go, with Brett Lee coming on into Australian colours, making a comeback into the one-day international scene after his injury, and immediately responded by getting the wicket of Steve Davis when he was caught by White of the bowling of Brett Lee for 4. So that was the first wicket to go for England. Ian Bell was joined by Peterson, and Ian Bell really was dropped twice of the bowling of Shane Tate, and he was also dropped of the bowling of Brett Lee. He lived a charmed life, and then after that he made some very good strokes. In fact, he uppercut a 6 over third man. He hit 3 boundaries of the bowling of Brett Lee, and he was looking very good. And Kevin Peterson joined with Steve O'Keefe, the left arm spinner, being taken for runs by Peterson. But before that, Ian Bell was the first to go when Johnson picked up his wicket. He was caught by Smith with the bowling of Johnson for 27 of 17 deliveries, 4 fours and 1 6, and England were 49 for 2 in the 5th over. Kevin Peterson was joined by Collingwood. Kevin Peterson welcomed Steve O'Keefe to the attack by actually slamming him for 2 fours and 1 6, but that was not to be continued, as Peterson, looking dangerous, was scalped by Steve O'Keefe itself as he flighted the ball. Peterson came out of the wicket. He held out a catch to mid-on. Hussey took the catch, and he was gone for 25 of 11 balls with 3 fours and 1 6. Paul Collingwood couldn't really get on the form that he wanted. Ian Morgan came in and he slammed a few boundaries and a 6, but Paul Collingwood was gone as Hussey took his wickets, that he was caught behind the bowling of Hussey for 16 of 20 balls with 2 fours, and the England score was 99 for 4 at that stage of 12 overs, chasing 157. Ian Morgan was joined in by Luke Wright, but Luke Wright got a beautiful Yorker from Tate, and he was castled by Tate for a duck, and in fact England were really slumping there, 104 for 5. Morgan was there holding it, and he was also playing some very good strokes. Tim Bresnan contributed 11 runs before being a victim of Watson, who had a very good all-round performance. He picked up his 2nd wicket there. Tim Bresnan was caught by Lee of the bowling of Watson for 11 of 11 balls with 1 4. Michael Yardy disappointed, caught behind of the bowling of Watson for duck, and it looked like England were slowly giving the match away to Australia, because the score was 130 for 7 at that stage. In fact, 141 for 8 when Bresnan departed. But before that, Morgan had made 43 of 33 balls, 5 fours and 1 6, and he was a victim of Watson. And then when the score was 141 for 8, one was just looking like probably 141 for 8 at that stage for Australia, for England, when Bresnan departed, 18th over. So you could just imagine they had still 17 runs to get, and in fact, instead of Graham Swan, it was Chris Woakes who walked in, and Chris Woakes walked in with a lot of swagger, as the 4th delivery that Sean Tate bowled to him in international cricket was smacked for a 6, and that requires a lot of nerves to actually smack Sean Tate out of the park, who was bowling at full throttle. So Chris Woakes did it, and Graham Swan also joined in. In fact, Chris Woakes was promoted ahead of Swan, which probably would have raised a few eyebrows, but Chris Woakes actually really redeemed himself there by actually making not out on 19. But before that, Graham Swan was clean bowled by Sean Watson for 6, and 154 for 9 was the score for England at that stage. 154 for 9, and let's see what happened when the score was 154 for 9 when Swan departed. In fact, that was the 20th over. The last over was being bowled by Watson, and Shahzad was on strike. And Shahzad Shahzad got a good delivery, the 2nd delivery from Shahzad. In fact, end of over 19, England were 154 for 8. So just 4 runs were required from 6 balls, and there was Chris Woakes was there, who was holding the hopes there. And Watson bowled to Shahzad, the 2nd delivery, and there was no run. And the next delivery to Shahzad also fetched no run, as it was put back to the bowler. And suddenly there was tension growing, because there were 3 more runs to get. And finally, Shahzad at the 4th ball scampered for a leg bye, and well, White had to, Cameron White, the Australian captain, adjusted his field, because 2 more runs to get, and this match was as tight as anything, and it was really going down to the wire. But Woakes playing very, very calmly. In fact, he carved up. In fact, he just tried to put a ball past point, and actually got the winning run for England, and actually won the match for. In fact, that was the 2 runs that he took to equal the score there. And then finally, Woakes of the last ball, when the score level in the 19.5 overs, and the last ball, Woakes managed to actually get the winning run, and that was set. And Woakes had got the winning run, and he had taken England over the wire. And in fact, England had made history by actually notching up their 8th consecutive world record victory in the 2020 over format, and what a record it would be. So 158 for 9, and Chris Woakes was the hero, not out on 19 of 15 balls, 1-4 and 1-6 on his international debut. Really keep it up, Chris Woakes. I really have to thank him. In fact, Cameron White, also the captain, Australian captain, said in the post conference that the shot that Chris Woakes played was a hell of a shot. And why not? Definitely it was a hell of a shot, because hitting Sean Tate over the pickets is not an easy thing. And then also, one more thing that I would like to say, in fact, Paul Collingwood was told by Andy Flower to promote Chris Woakes in the batting order, and that's the precise thing that Collingwood did by actually promoting him ahead of Graham Swan, and that was a masterstroke. Chris Woakes won the match for England, 158 for 9. The match was won by England by 1 wicket, and the bowling figure: Sean Tate 4 overs no maiden 1 for 40, Brett Lee 4 overs no maiden 1 for 41, Mitchell Johnson 4 overs no maiden 1 for 27, Steve O'Keefe, the left arm spinner, 2 overs no maiden 1 for 16, Shane Watson 4 overs no maiden 4 for 15, was rightly adjudged the man of the match, and David Hussey 2 overs no maiden 1 for 14. So, well, dear cricket fans, so this was the match as far as England and Australia were concerned. England winning it in a very grand manner after finally, as I said, it's a spine-tingling match here at the Adelaide Oval, and finally Chris Woakes actually taking them over the line with an international debut score of 19 not out with 1-4 and 1-6, and that 6 was hit of Sean Tate, the 4th ball international cricket that Chris Woakes faced. He actually smacked Tate for a 6 over the pickets. A 6. What a shot it was. Well, now right now I'm going to take you down to Durban, where the first one-day international between South Africa and India is being played. I'll be back with a full match report later, but right now South Africa are 231 for 5 in the 40th over. Johan Botha is 2 not out. Jean-Paul Dumini is 65 not out with 1-4 and 1-6. Just recapping what happened there: South Africa won the toss and elected to bat. India made one change. Yusuf Pathan has been dropped, which has come as a real surprise for me, because Yusuf Pathan makes a great difference as far as the one-day scheme of things is concerned. One has to remember there is no Virendra Sehwag and Gautam Gambhir, and Yusuf Pathan has been dropped. I wouldn't know what was the thinking behind it, but well, right now South Africa 231 for 5 in the 40th over. The person, Hashim Amla, played a very scintillating knock of 50 of just 36 balls with 8 fours. AP de Villiers thrashed 76 of 69 balls with 7 fours and 1-6. Dumini right now is not out in 65. 231 for 5 the 40th over for South Africa. And well, it looks like South Africa is going towards a good score, because another 10 overs to go. Dumini is at the crease with Johan Botha. So, well, they can expect probably in excess of 300 for sure. So we are going to have a good game here. And for India, well, I'll be coming back to you with a full match report of that particular game shortly. That's it, dear cricket fans, for Cricket Happenings. This is Ram signing off. Thank you.